Making headlines tonight, Barbadians to get more educational opportunities with the launch of a new charity. The fire at Bees Recycling extinguished. Senators debate changes to the customs legislation. And coming up in sports, Gill signals the end of his ODI career with a quick-fire 50 as West Indies lose the ODI series to India.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I am Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. More educational scholarships and grants will soon be made available to Barbadians. This as Hyacinth Abadamashi and her husband Christian launched a new charity in honor of her late parents and late son. Our Rianne Phillips has more.
From next month, Barbadians who are interested in conducting research in the field of nursing will have the opportunity to access several scholarships and grants. The opportunity comes through the newly launched Oliver and Janet St. John Christian and Hyacinth Abadamashi Foundation charity, which was launched here at the CP School this morning. The benefactors, Mr. and Mrs. Abadamashi, give the rationale for establishing the charity.
Its main purpose is to carry out the collective desire of my parents, Oliver and Janet St. John. They were always regarded as unofficial welfare officers, and many persons would have benefited from their acts. Therefore, we are merely carrying out their wishes.
What we are setting up now will live beyond our lifetime. We hope it will extend beyond 100 years, long after we say goodbye to this earth. It was somebody, somewhere, who worked hard, including you here. It is you. In my language, there's a proverb that says, that means a tree does not make a forest. It is not us alone. It is you that helped to make this happen.
And their efforts have been lauded by local officials.
I once again express my gratitude to Christian and Hyacinth Abadamashi, who have combined the wishes of the late Oliver and Janet St. John with their own to provide this opportunity for Barbadian students to realize their full potential while augmenting the capacity of this country. I also want to take this opportunity to encourage other entities to come on board and to partner with the ministry to expand opportunities for Barbadians in some of the other non-traditional areas.
I especially want to highlight the Foundation's pledge of commitment to provide scholarships and grants to young people, which I believe will contribute towards the improvement of the social fabric of our society. In reviewing your interests of the Foundation charity, there are two areas that stand out with me. Firstly, your willingness to support research through sponsorship of students at the graduate and postgraduate levels.
The Oliver and Janet St. John Christian and Hyacinth Abadamashi Foundation will be monitored by a board of 6 trustees. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Fire officials are keeping a watchful eye on the Bees Recycling plant following yesterday's blaze at the Kane Gardens St. Thomas facility. When CBC visited the site earlier today, a team of fire officers were busy putting out the final signs of the fire. Sharika Griffith reports.
This burnt-out container and this fire truck were perhaps the only signs there had been a fire at the Kane Gardens St. Thomas facility just hours earlier. Teams worked through the night to bring the blaze, which produced thick dark clouds that could be seen for miles, under control.
The fellas are now focusing their efforts in one particular area where we've seen some pockets of fire. So hopefully within another half an hour to 45 minutes, we could probably wrap up here.
What has been the strategy to get the fire extinguished? Using water?
Well, we use a mixture of both. And the preliminary, what we were trying to do is to blanket the fire with soil and so on that was trucked in from other areas. Once we've seen areas where there's actual flame and combustion, we've actually isolated that with water. Once we put that out, they've covered it, and that's the process we've been doing all night until right now.
Managing Director of Bees Recycling, Paul Bino, says the destroyed materials were mainly low-end plastics, such as pallet wrap and plastic bags, which were to be shipped overseas to a buyer.
I ran down here as far as I possibly can, and we brought out the fire extinguishers that we had on site and the water tank that we got on site as well. But with the wind and the fire being, because it was plastic and so on that was burning, it really more or less was too much for me to handle.
Mr. Bino says he's at a loss as to how the fire started.
At that time it was 4:30, and we closed at 5. Everybody winding down and cleaning up and tidying up and looking to the left from here. And to see that did happen at that time, it was not an area that we was doing anything at all in, and we were just as surprised as anybody else.
Bees Recycling was last hit by fire in 2013. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Police are investigating the shooting death of a route taxi driver late last night. He's 54-year-old Ralston Philip Agard of Sandy Hill, St. Philip. According to police, around 11:45, Agard had just parked his vehicle outside his home when a loud explosion was heard. He called a family member for help, and when police and ambulance personnel arrived on the scene, he was pronounced dead. Police are asking anyone who may have any information that can assist in their investigation to contact the nearest police station. Exposure and promotion is vital for our visual and literary arts especially. Now, many of them will be attending the upcoming CariFesta 14 in Trinidad and Tobago, and they're hoping to benefit tremendously from this event, which runs from August 16th to the 25th. Poet Laureate Esther Phillips is a member of the local contingent, which is expected to leave the island tomorrow. She joins us live now to speak about her expectations of CariFesta and her ongoing work in the area of literary art. Phillips, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, from where you sit, especially as a poet laureate, how important are the literary arts to CariFesta, especially in terms of exposure?
Very, very important, because I'm really convinced that the written record of any culture, any society, that is extremely important. So we need our literary artists to be there, to be on the spot. They will, of course, be reading from their work. They will be, whether that's poetry, fiction, or in whatever form it comes. And that way they are sharing their experiences and inviting other people into those experiences. It is very important that that work of the imagination be expressed, be demonstrated. And, it is what will remain on record for posterity. So that's very, very important.
In your professional opinion, what was the state of literary arts in Barbados and the region?
Well, I think Shane, that the immediate, what is immediate, what appeals to our senses in the most immediate form, will always appear to take precedence. So therefore, you have the music, you have what is visual. Yeah. That is what catches people's attention now. But I am very hopeful about the literary arts, because as chair of the Frank Cullimore Literary Endowment Committee, for example, we do have many entries coming in every year. NCF, they're also experiencing a lot of written work coming in from various people. So the interest is very high. So I am very, very encouraged. And I also know that regionally, we do have many Caribbean writers now who are making it on the world scene. And so I'm very encouraged. We are making waves, so to speak.
You're seeing a lot more entries now. What about the age-old story? What advice do you have for someone, especially a young person, who's getting involved in the arts and may be struggling a bit, and they have to make that decision at the crossroads? Do I continue with it?
I think they should continue, because we, as a people, we've always been interested in stories. Storytelling. I don't know if that tradition is very much still ongoing, but you may remember how our grandmothers always told stories. Yeah. We've always been interested in stories. Stories were read to us. We've read stories. So I would encourage all young people to continue writing. We're interested in what they have to say. And there are people there who are willing to help. We have workshops going. So yes, right. But one thing I will always say, find an editor.
You said people are there willing to help. What support do you think the literary arts need in Barbados?
Yes, we do have workshops offered by NCF. We have workshops offered by FCLE as well. And we have mentors. Actually, FCLE has invited some people to be mentors, so that if people come to us for assistance, we can direct them to these people who are writers themselves and very willing to help.
I wish we had more time to talk.
I wish we did too.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much. Okay.
That is Esther Phillips, Poet Laureate. Senators have been debating changes to the customs laws that impact how the island deals with terrorism. Minister of Information, Broadcasting and Public Affairs, Senator Lucille Moore, says they are necessary to ensure Barbados is adequately prepared to address domestic and foreign terrorist activity. Now, leading off debate in the upper house this morning on the Customs Amendment No. 2 bill, Senator Moore said legislation must always reflect what is happening in the modern world.
We cannot wait until something happens, then we say, well, we should have done this or we should have done that. And certainly the world has changed since 1976. So a lot of the methodologies, a lot of the, in terms of execution, a lot of the areas in which people finance and use the money in this endeavor, that too has changed, certainly in the way in which it's moved around, the way in which it's gathered, even the way in which it is used. So these are things that are addressed clearly in these two pieces of legislation.
Meanwhile, Opposition Senator Caswell Franklin says the customs laws must be updated if the island is to continue to work with its international partners in financial and other areas.
If you do not get the buy-in from the banks overseas, the banks are not going to deal with Barbados. They have a public correspondence banking. If we don't have these regulations in place, these laws in place, we will not be able to trade with the outside world just now. So as I said, I was not opposed to the bill. It is, we are being forced into this situation because we really don't have any power in the international thing. We got to go along with it or else.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now, there's expected to be improved accommodation for the increase in patrons for this year's World Creole Festival in Dominica.
Festival and Events Manager of the Dominica Festivals Committee, Marva Williams, revealed there was a marked increase in the number of patrons to the 2018 festival, and this trend is expected to continue this year.
We did record at least 12,000 patrons per night at the World Creole Music Festival. So, of course, that was an increase of probably over 2,000 from the previous year. So last year was a really, really good year.
Accommodation proved to be a serious concern in 2018, just 1 year after Hurricane Maria. And while the room stock is not back to its pre-Maria levels, Williams is confident that lodging will be available for the growing number of patrons.
I must say that in 2018, accommodation was a serious issue. That was recognizable post-Hurricane Maria, where we lost more than 50% of our rooms in terms of capacity. We are in conversation with the community of Portsmouth to follow the same trend, hopefully, that was done last year. We have opened, people up to Airbnb so that persons can get more access.
The Grand Bahama Power Company is issuing a warning to customers about an emerging scheme. It says scammers are out there claiming to represent the utility company.
According to the statement issued by the Grand Bahama Power Company, often the alleged scammers will call customers demanding immediate payment for a new digital meter, require payment to be made by a debit or credit card over the phone or other forms of payment, or threaten immediate disconnection. The statement continues, saying that GBPC representatives will never call customers demanding immediate payment via telephone with the threat of disconnection. GBPC will never require any payment via telephone, and that all GBPC payments should be made on their website, at their headquarters, or authorized payment locations. To safeguard yourself against scams, GBPC recommends keeping the following things in mind if you receive a call that is unexpected or sounds suspicious. Never give out credit card or other payment information over the phone. End suspicious calls and contact their customer contact center at 352-8411 to ensure that you are speaking with a GBPC representative.
In Guyana, a group of angry residents of Campbellville crashed the bi-weekly statutory meeting of the mayor and city council. They were led by Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman. HGP TV's Javon Vickery reports.
It is probably the first time that a minister of government led an entire group of concerned residents into a statutory meeting of the Mayor and City Council in a bid to find solutions to several issues which they claim are being ignored. The decision to invade the council's meeting was due to an engagement with residents and the minister. During that meeting, residents had expressed to the minister that several issues have been ignored by the council. Minister Trotman told the media outside City Hall's chambers that during the meeting with residents of Camberville, they complained bitterly about the neglect of their community. Minister Trotman noted that the situation desires immediacy.
There was some concerns expressed about the state of the drains and fields and so forth. There was one field that had a lot of used tires that were gathering water and mosquitoes. And so immediately I said, look, it's something I could help with. The mayor has been writing letters offering skip bins, I think they're called, belong to the council for rental. So I'm renting 2 of them and I'll be clearing the tires tomorrow.
The Natural Resources Minister explained that strangely enough, many of the residents, most of whom voted at the last local government elections, were unaware of who represents them at the level of the council.